Oh, snizzity snap, baby. Here we are. It is this week's edition of Motivate with EY. And I'm back because, well, this is what I do and I love it. But also, I want to talk to everybody about blood work and finding out where it is that you're starting from. So, I went and got my blood work done last week. So this week I got my results. So tonight, what I'm going to talk about is the results, what they test for, why it's important, and we're going to eliminate the obstacles, if you will, of why people don't get their blood work done. So, without further ado, here we go. So basically, I went to my doctor. I wanted to find out exactly where I stood with my overall health. And overall, I live a pretty healthy lifestyle. I eat right. Very conscious of all the food I put in my body, what kinds of foods, how much, things like that. I was able to get my weight down. I'm down over just under 50 pounds now, and exercise a lot. I do jujitsu 3 or 4 times a week. I work out here at the house. I have a nice gym built inside the garage, and so that works out really well. But I really wanted to see exactly where my body stood, not just kind of guess about based on how I feel, but really understand kind of how my body's functioning, how my organs are doing, how my body's filtering things, out of my system that it doesn't need. And throughout this kind of whole path and journey, I actually learned a lot. Obviously, I'm not a professional. I'm not a doctor, not a nurse. I'm not a physician's assistant, none of those things. So everything that I know, I've learned by looking up, asking questions with my doctor, finding out what's important on these tests. Really, I mean, all of it is, but what are the main factors and how to, what to look for, what are maybe some precursors and some things when you get close to maybe on the unhealthy side of things. So let's dive right into it. First thing, and if you don't mind, I'm going to look at all my notes here. I made a bunch of notes, and I'm not going to go through every single note that I made. They're really kind of more for me as I was learning about these things. But I'm going to go over the broad strokes first, and then we'll kind of circle back and talk about why they're important, what kind of function that they serve, and how we can affect these things long term to make these things, these numbers better, and our body functioning better overall. So let's take a look. So overall, with my actual blood levels, hemoglobins, platelets, all those fancy medical terms, basically all my blood levels are right in line with where they need to be. They're all right in the middle. Some maybe a little bit on the higher side, maybe a little bit on the lower side, but overall right in the range of where a healthy male of my age, which I'm 42 years old, where I'm supposed to be, right in the healthy ranges. So all my blood, red blood cell count's good, how my blood's doing, all the different proteins and things that my should be filtering out are all on very, very good levels. So that's all good. Going to my glucose levels, which is the sugars in your blood. Overall, it's very good. Maybe slightly on the higher side, which I was kind of aware. I wouldn't say I was aware of, but I was pretty confident I was going to end up on the higher side there anyway. I do have a history of diabetes in my family, so that's always something I have to be conscious of, making sure my weight's down, making sure that I'm not intaking a lot of unnecessary sugars, especially processed sugars. That's the absolute no-no for me, really for everybody, but because of my family background, something I have to definitely keep an eye on. So, but mine's right in the levels where it needs to be, and so I'm happy about that. I'm definitely keeping an eye on it to make sure that it stays on that healthy range at all times, because if I tip over to the high side, then I can be pre-diabetic and even to being full diabetic, which is something I definitely want to avoid. So making sure I stay fit, stay healthy, eat the right foods, that's paramount for me and my success. Next is my creatinine levels, which is how my kidneys are functioning, how they're filtering things in and out of my body. Creatinine levels are absolutely wonderful. So my kidneys are doing their job and keeping everything filtering in and out of my system there. So what that means, also my sodium, potassium, my calcium, and my protein levels are all right exactly where they need to be. They're very, very, very well. So my globulin, if I'm saying that correctly, if you're somewhere in the medical field and I pronounce any of these incorrect, I do apologize. Like I said, I am not a medical professional. I am learning these things as I go, but I do want to talk about them because they're important. So my globulin levels, which is the proteins in the blood that's made by the liver. So it also is basically, it's for your overall liver function. It's for blood clotting as well as fighting infections. So that is actually a very, very good level, right exactly where it needs to be. So thank God, you know, my body's healthy, fighting stuff off, baby, for me, keeping me healthy overall. That's a good thing. Next, we're going to look at, I don't want to talk about that really. These are kind of the nitty gritty, you know, different levels. And overall, all my levels are really good. And we'll dive into the ones that are a little bit off kilter, if you will, and what I'm going to be doing about those things moving forward. My urinalysis came back very good. There's no bad stuff in my urine. So like I said, my kidneys are doing their job. They're functioning very well, filtering everything out the way that it's supposed to. So my urine's clear, clean, came back clear and yellow, which is, I guess, a good thing. So all those things are good. There's no high levels of proteins, glucose, or you know, blood or any kind of nitrates in my urine. So that's all good. Taking a look at my lipid panel. Now this one here is where it really kind of raised my eyebrows, because for a while now, my diet has been very, very, very good. Now, I may be predisposed to having higher cholesterol. That may run in my family. I don't know, and I'm going to do a little bit more research to find out if that's the case. What I did find out is that about 2/3 of the population here in the United States, 2/3 of healthy people have a certain kind of enzyme in their body where they are more susceptible to dietary cholesterol. Now, what does that mean? It means for most people, for 2/3 of the people out there, you know, if you eat bacon and eggs and, you know, milk and all these things that can raise your LDL cholesterol, which is your low density cholesterol, it's those foods can affect you in a negative, or do not affect you in a negative way for 2/3 of the population. So most people, it doesn't even, you know, you can eat pretty much all the bacon you want, you can eat cheese, you can eat all these foods, and it's not going to raise or lower the levels. Your body's going to filter it out and use that kind of cholesterol to move the cells through your system, to regenerate cells and do all the other things that it needs to do with that kind of cholesterol. Now, for the other 1/3, that those kinds of foods can negatively affect your overall cholesterol levels. So I don't know if I'm one of those people. I may be. I'm gonna have to treat this for now as if I am one of those people. So I do have to make sure that I do eat a lot of eggs. I love eggs. I do have cheese from time to time, so maybe I need to back off that. Dairy products I don't do a lot of, except I do put creamer in my coffee. And I do have coffee every day, and I drink it all day long. I have a gigantic thermos. So I definitely have to be very aware of that and probably cut back on that. Keep an eye on that. Pork, chicken, and what was one of the other ones? Sorry, bear with me here. But so eggs, pork, chicken, dairy, those are the kind of the cheese, you know, those things. Those are the main ones where if you are one of maybe the 1/3 of people where your diet can affect your cholesterol levels, are foods to probably either stay away from or keep at a minimum. Doesn't mean you can't have them. Everybody's different. All of us, we vary so much biologically. Some people may have, you know, just look at something simple like a peanut allergy. Some people are super allergic, just smelling it in the air and their whole face blows up and their neck can close up. And there's people that can eat all the peanuts they want and nothing happens and it's all good. And there's everybody in between. So there's always kind of a spectrum with anything that goes on within the human body. So where I am on that spectrum, maybe with some of these foods, I don't know. The high end of the range is 99. I came in at a 122. And what my doctor told me was they could put me on a statin, maybe. If I wanted to, you know, maybe a low dose kind of statin to try to get that number down. I told her, no, I don't want to do that right now. Let me try to handle this thing through diet and making some adjustments. And she said, that's fine. You know, she was pretty confident. She said, if it gets up to the 150, you definitely want to start looking at some statins. Anything over and above that, for sure. The reason why that number can become dangerous is because those LDL cholesterols, that's what can harden inside the arteries and clog up the arteries, essentially. And that's what leads to heart attacks, strokes, any kind of cardiovascular disease. It's not good. So, being that I'm over the high end of what a healthy male of my age should be, I have to be more conscious of that. And I'm taking measures to try to get that number down, where curbing certain types of foods, taking them out of my diet, either completely or keeping them at an absolute minimum. And you know, she had asked me, check it again in 6 months and let's see where you are. And I said, nope, I'm doing it in 3 months. Every 3 months for at least this first year, if not the first 2 years, I'm going to keep checking these levels and seeing where I am, seeing where my progress is, and making sure I'm making a positive impact and tracking that at all times. It's very important that I do that for myself, and I think everybody should be doing that. But we'll go into that in a little bit. We'll circle back around to that. So my cholesterol, my HDL is, which is the good cholesterol. That's the cholesterol that is regenerating for your body, for your cells throughout your body. It carries all the nutrients, you know, to your organs and to the rest of your body as you intake different foods. So that number is really good on my end. And you can actually raise, I'm learning, you can raise your HDL cholesterol, and it'll actually help reduce your LDL, the bad stuff. So things like fish, things like avocados, nuts like peanuts, walnuts, cashews, things of that nature. Any kind of those healthy fats are really, really good for raising your HDL. Cardiovascular exercise as well, you know, getting some good cardio in. Now, I do cardio quite a bit throughout the week, so I don't think that's the main issue. Now, I can always add a little bit more, and I will, but helping your HDL, the good cholesterol, will actually help reduce the bad stuff. So I'm learning that as well. So I will be working on that, but my HDL already is at a very, very good level. My what's called hemoglobin ALC is right inside the range of where it needs to be. That's where it kind of tells you if you're going to be pre-diabetic or diabetic, if that level gets to be too high. And mine's, like I said, a little bit on the higher side, but it's still within the range, and I feel very, very good about that, especially because I do have a medical, my family history. There is some diabetes in my family. So I'm very, very aware, and I'm on top of that one as well. My TSH, thyroid stimulating hormone, is very good. My prostate is functioning great. Those are all good stuff. My uric acid levels, which is for how much uric acid is in your blood, is what it measures. And that's produced when your body starts breaking down things called purines. Now, I had to learn what purines was. I have no idea. Once again, I'm not a doctor. I'm a salesperson. So we'll dive into that here right now. High purine foods. Now, most of these are foods that I don't eat anyway. So things like anchovies, mackerel, but dried beans. So that's something I can take a look at as well on my end. And here's the two big ones. And this one really shocked me. And I think everybody should be getting tested for your uric acid, because these two things, beer and wine, right? I know. I'm already hearing it from all the people in my life, everybody that I love. I know everybody loves them. Now look, it doesn't mean you can't have it. It doesn't mean you can't even have a lot of it sometimes. All it means, and like I said, we're going to talk about this a little bit more here in a minute, but it's just to be aware. Be aware of where your body is. Now, your body may, be able to filter out all those purines just fine, and you won't have any uric acid in your system. My levels are actually very, very good. So mine came back right in the middle, right where it needs to be. And so I'm not worried about that. I don't drink very often, and when I do, sometimes I'll do wine, but I don't do beer anymore. And now that I've learned that it can affect my uric acid levels, I probably won't be doing very much, if even ever. But the reason why I don't do beer is because I don't like the extra carbs in there, even the low carb beers. It's not really worth it for me. I'll drink something else if I'm going to have some drinks that night. But this kind of just opened my eyes a little bit. So even now when I drink wine, I got to be very conscious of the fact that I don't want to have too much, too many times, too often. So that was very interesting. So also I found out that having too much uric acid in your system can cause gout. So another reason to keep an eye on that as well. Lastly, my vitamin D levels. And so here's another one where I found out, wow, my vitamin D levels are low. And when I say low, they were actually below the low level within the healthy range. So my doctor recommended just taking a vitamin D supplement. This is one of those ones where you can take a supplement. It's actually really, really good to take a supplement. Now, you want to keep an eye on it. You don't want it to get too high either. And I know it can cause other problems down the road if it gets too high. So that's why I think these tests are important to measure and understand where you are. So I'm going to take, a couple thousand IUs, which is, I think it's called the individual units. Like, once again, if I'm wrong, I apologize. But that's how they're measured. And when you go buy vitamin D at the store, you just go by to the grocery store, health food store, and get the vitamin D tablets. And some of them will say 5,000, 2,000, 1,000 IUs, whatever it is. And so my doctor recommended anywhere between 2,000 and 5,000 to get my levels up to where they need to be. And then I'll check them again, like I said, in 3 months. And if they're right where they need to be, then I'll level off from there and keep taking them. So back around to why I decided to do this test and why it's important, why I think everybody should be doing this test. I've talked about here many times that I see so many unhealthy people. I see it in my career. I just see it walking around. I even asked a few medical professionals, what percentage of people that you see come into the office are unhealthy, whether they're obese or have cardiovascular problems, respiratory problems, and not inherited, but just self-induced, through poor lifestyle decisions. And I'm hearing numbers of 75, 80, even over 80% of people that are unhealthy. Man, that breaks my heart. It breaks my heart because I see people suffering. I see people in my job. I go to their homes and I watch they have to move from the house that they've been in for 20 years to a single-story home because they can't move around. They can't go up and down the stairs. Not because they were in an accident. Not because, they broke their leg falling off a 2-story building. No, that's not why. It's because they made poor health choices their whole life. And now their body, they can't go up and down stairs. We see them at the stores in the motor carts. They can't get around the store to go grocery shopping, to buy a birthday present for their kids or for their grandkids. I'm seeing it more and more. And I have decided that I am making it a personal mission to get this message out as much as possible, to let people know, find out now where you stand. I don't care if you're 25 years old or 20 years old. Go to the doctor and look, I get it. I'm a hypocrite. You know why? Because I'm 42 years old and this is the first blood panel that I've ever done. And why? Because I never had to. I've always been pretty healthy. Besides when I was extremely overweight, but I didn't want to get it checked then. Just like you don't want to get it checked right now. But you should. You should, because it's important to find out exactly where you are. Find out if you need to be making some changes. And if you're saying, but Eric, I don't want to make changes. I like having my beers every night when I come home. I like having my glasses of wine. I like having my double cheeseburgers. I like having my double big gulps twice a day. I like that. It makes me feel good. You think it makes you feel good. It makes you feel good in your brain. Your brain's is giving off, serotonin when you're taking it in. So it's like a drug. It's the same thing that cocaine addicts feel. But it doesn't mean you're really feeling good. It doesn't mean your body's feeling good. Your body's shutting down on you. I promise it is. I promise it is. I have loved ones in my life that have to deal with these medical issues. They got to go to the doctors all the time. Hey, People tell me, Eric, I don't have time to eat healthy. I don't have time to cook foods and go to the grocery store. Guess what? You're going to have to find time because you're going to be at the doctor's office all the time. You're going to have to ask your boss, I need this day off and this morning off and this evening off. I have to go to the doctor, 3 times a month. Hey, Eric, it's too expensive to eat healthy. Don't you know how much healthy food costs? It's way more expensive. Well, do you have money for medications? Do you have money for doctor visits? Do you have money for operations? Do you have money for surgeries? I know it sounds dramatic. I know people, we don't want to hear it. But it's 100% a fact. You're not going to beat the system here. Your body can only take so much before it starts to say, I can't do it anymore. I can't. So I'm making it my mission. I'm going to get this message out. I don't care how many times I have to talk about it. I don't care if people tell me to shut up. Say, I get it, Eric. I've had enough. I don't want to hear it again. Stop talking about it. Too bad. I'm talking about it. And it's important. And I know I sound like a hypocrite because at 42 years old, I finally did my first blood panel. But that's why I want to help. Because I finally, with the help of my wife, she's been really pushing me. Hey, go get your blood work done. You got to get it done. Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know. But I got to get up early and go to my doctor's office. And, they do it between the hours of 7 and 9. And, then I have to get up an extra hour early. That's it. That's the investment. Well, it's part of the investment to taking control and ownership of my overall health. It's worth it. It's all worth it. I found out that these lab places, they start at 6 a.m. and they go all the way till 10 p.m., a lot of them. So if it's, they're not open during the hours that I need to go, that's wrong. They are. They know the hours of the operation they need to be there for people. You can find one that's open. I promise you can. So that excuse, gone. Okay? You can find one that's open. It's too expensive. If you have insurance, it's not too expensive. It's the cost of the doctor visit, $40, whatever your deductible is. Sometimes it may even be covered, depending on what your insurance is. I don't know. I didn't have to pay anything for mine. So, and if you don't have insurance, they have cash options. Okay? You can go to a website and find out. It's called requestatest.com. And they have a whole list of tests that you can take if you want to test for certain things or if you want to do full blood panels. And yeah, sure, it costs money. But let's say if you want to do a whole blood panel, I started to add some of them up. Let's say it costs $400. I don't think it's that much, but let's say it costs $400. And you're like, well, I don't have $400. I don't have $400 for blood work. For what? To find out that I need to give up this food that I like and this, and give up my wine and give up my beer? Yes. Yeah. Because if your favorite band was coming into town and the tickets were $400, guess what? What would you do? What would you do? I know exactly what you would do. You would find a babysitter. You would take time off of work. You would save. You would go get a part-time job. You would sell something online. You do whatever it takes to go see them. If some big event or if your kid wanted a birthday party and it was going to cost $400, you'd figure it out. I promise you would. Why is your health not as important? Why is it not hold as much esteem in your life? Well, this stuff comes first and that stuff comes first. No, sometimes you have to come first. It's a hard lesson to learn. It's a hard thing, especially as a parent, but you have to make yourself first sometimes. Because if you're not around when your kids are in their teen years or even later than that, it's not worth it. If you can't move around and take them to their soccer games, take them to their auditions for, some play they want to be in, or take them to their tryouts for baseball team, whatever it is, you can't do it because you can't drive, because you can't leave the house. How is that being there for your kids? It's not. I know this all sounds overly dramatic, but it's not. I see it all the time. I see it with people. And it's going to keep happening as long as we continue to not take control of our own lives. Look, think about it this way. This is something that blows my mind. For Coca-Cola, and look, I'm not saying these companies are inherently bad, okay? But I want to make a point. For Coca-Cola, McDonald's, Dunkin' Donuts, Burger King, any fast food, any soft drink, any of these companies that we all know are bad for our bodies. for all of those companies to continue to grow and get more sales and to give more profits to their investors, they have to sell more. So what does that mean? Either there has to be more people, right, which they can't control, or they have to get more of the people that are already here to eat and drink more of their stuff. That's what that means. They have to make us eat and drink their stuff. And I know, but Eric, Coca-Cola owns Dasani water. Water's good for you. That's not their core business. You know it's not their core business. They want to sell you Coca-Cola, okay? I'm not saying you can't have a Coke. I'm not saying you can't, when you go to the movies, have a nice big Coke with your popcorn and some candy. I'm not saying that. I'm saying you can't have a Coke every day and think you're going to get away with it down the road. That's what I'm saying. But the whole point of all of this is to first find out where you stand. Find out. I promise you it's worth it. I was nervous. I mean, I know I'm a healthy person. I live a very healthy lifestyle. And I was nervous when I was getting my results. I was thinking, what if it comes back with cancer? What if it comes back with, any of these crazy things? And I didn't want that to happen. And I was a little worried. Because you never know. But I wanted to know. I absolutely had to know. I have to know. Now I know where my starting point is. Now I can move forward. Now I can say, this is the stuff I can eat. This is the stuff I should stay away from. And this is the stuff I should definitely never, ever, ever put in my body ever again. The same way I would never put, sewer water into if I bought a brand new high performance car, a Ferrari, a Lamborghini, something high performance, I would never put sewer water in for gasoline and think that it's going to run properly. But that's what we do with our bodies. We got to stop it. We got to take control. Forget about all the advertising for the Kentucky Fried Chickens. And like I said, these aren't bad companies. But look, they're selling us a product that's not good for us. Doesn't mean we can't have it every once in a while. And we all have to decide how often that should be. For me, it's almost never. It's not worth it. It's not worth wondering if I'm going to wake up one day and not be able to get around my house. Not be able to get around the store very well. I want to be that guy, that person who's 95 years old, still doing yoga, still doing jiu-jitsu, still going on walks, still be able to go on long hikes with my great-great-grandkids. That's the person I want to be. And I'm going to do everything in my power to make sure that that's me. But you have to know where you start. You have to know where you stand. So go get this test done. I promise you it's worth it. Ask your doctor. Make a doctor's appointment. Is it time away from work? Yeah. Yeah. But you got to figure it out. Because guess what? If you have to go to the doctor for something because your body's shutting down, you will have to make time. But it's going to be more time away from work. This is an easier way. I promise you it is. And you get to do it on your terms. Not because your body's just done trying to filter out all the crap you've been giving it for 10, 15, 30 years or whatever it is. So, once again, I'm not trying to preach at everybody. I know this all sounds harsh. I know it seems kind of extreme, but it's real. It's 100% real. And I'm going to keep doing my part and making sure I know where I stand with me. Every 3 months, I'm going back and getting another test. I want to see how my progress is. I want to see how my body's doing and make sure I'm always on the right track. So that way I don't just feel good. When I wake up in the morning, yeah, I feel pretty good. I want to know that not only do I feel good, my body's functioning good. It's functioning awesome. It is kicking butt for me so I can go out and do all the fun things that I want to do. So when that band does come in, I can go and enjoy it. I already took the steps. So that being said, we're going to dive more into this kind of stuff later on down the road. I'm going to do some more research to find out other places in town that does the blood work for you. So you can go out and find out where you stand and get this information out. I'm going to talk to some medical professionals. I'm going to keep hammering away at this to make sure that I can get as many people as possible onto a healthy path so they can live the best life possible. That's what this is about. It's because I care about people. I absolutely 100% do. So I hope this helps. I hope this was informative. And I'll be back, like I said, next week. We'll talk about some more things. I might be piggyback onto more of this stuff here, maybe getting a little bit deeper into some of these numbers, what they all mean, and how they overall affect our performance out there, doing everyday things, going to work, taking care of our families, doing our hobbies, and having fun living life. So thank you for listening. This is Motivate with EY, and we'll be back next week. Have a great night, and we'll see you all soon.